Oh, wow, JB, thank you. I just have to wait for a second because somebody is outside the door. That sounds very creepy, but JB, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, we're gonna focus in on your question, JB, but can you please give me a little more detail? So, what to do when the girlfriend pulls back because she questions your dominance? Um, What was the scenario here? What was the situation? What went down? What did you say to her? What did she say to you? All that. Spill the details, please, because this sounds like a very juicy scenario. Um, I'm waiting, JB. Uh, while you're getting to that, okay, here we go. Here we go. We had something come up where it was a serious event thing, pregnancy, and I panicked a little. So then, okay, and she freaked out because I panicked. Okay, I could see that. I could see that. So then how did she question your dominance? Like, what did she say specifically to you? But, like, I do understand how that could be. I mean, this is kinda like a classic girl scenario where it's like they get a positive pregnancy test, and then they want the guy to be, like, really enthusiastic and like, "You know what? I wasn't expecting it. But this is incredible. Like, I'm so excited. This is gonna be the best thing that ever happened." And if you kinda don't react like that, they're gonna be triggered. So, I can see why this would be quite a triggering situation for her. So then you said she pulled back and it buzzkilled our attraction. Well, hers. Yeah, like, that's, 99.1% of women, they're probably gonna act the same. So, am I right, JB, that, you kind of were like, "Oh, no, this is, like, bad news," and then she was hurt by that? Um, let me know. How long have you guys been together? Do you see something long term with her? Like, were you just not ready for this? Is she still pregnant now? Because if she's still pregnant now, she's gonna be, like, seriously reassessing things, like, "Okay, I have to think about my future. I have to think about if this guy is, kind of like a serious partner for me or not. Do we break up? Do we stay together? Because if he's not excited about a baby, we should probably break up." So that's probably what's going through her head right now. So she's withdrawing. She's like, "No, I'm not going to invest in this right now." Um, yeah. So then you said, "Yeah, it's a long term girlfriend. We lost it, unfortunately. She wants to stay together, just trying to regain her trust." Yeah, well, most girls, their ultimate goal is honestly, they want a family. Okay, except for girls who are single by choice or child-free by choice, I mean. Most girls, ultimately, they're with their boyfriends because they want the family at the end of it. They want a guy to invest in them, in their children, they wanna have a house, they wanna have a life, they wanna take the kids to school together and all that. So, because you weren't excited about that, she's kinda probably thinking, "I don't know if this guy's the one. Maybe I should break up." So, the way to regain her trust would be basically if you decided, "I do want that with you. I wanna have a family, I wanna invest in you." That's probably at this point the only thing that could really regain her trust because, like, you pretty much revealed, "Yeah, I'm not sure I'm, like, ready for all that." So, do you know what I mean, JB? What are your thoughts? Let me know. So, Charles Gray says, "Maybe she's nervous that you are nervous." Yeah, like, that's pretty much what I'm saying, like, she's very nervous at the fact that, like, you don't want this long-term thing with her, and it's not looking good on her end. And JB Will said, "I got her heart." Think, like, with her head, not her heart, because, like, in her head, who's that guy I can build a life with and build a family with? Even though I this guy, he doesn't seem ready. So then JB Weld says, "Just buzzkilled the sexual vibe because she didn't see that as a strong reaction." Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like that might be like, she might be putting it to you like that, but, I mean, I think it's not a strong reaction because that's not kind of like the, husband of her dreams that she's envisioning. So, I mean, she might couch it in terms of, "Oh, it wasn't, like, dominant enough," but, I mean, I think it's deeper than that to just, "How can I be with a guy if he gets me pregnant and he basically wants out?" You know what I'm saying? Alfred James says, "She's like the opposite of Andrew Tate." Lol. Pretty good joke, Alfred James. Yeah, that's actually very, very true. Very, very true. Um, so Giovanni Lopez says, "Remember you showed us a TikTok about a girl who found it hot when a guy gets angry at her and tells her to sit down and shut up?" I'm trying to find the link for that video. Do you have it? Yeah, I have it. Like, it's on my channel. I think it's called the Raw Attractive Power Part 2. Um, Problem is people, like, massively misinterpreted that video because they literally every single person in the comments thought what I was saying was, "Girls love it when you yell at them." Now, while there's maybe 2% truth to that, there's, like, 98% big mistake, in doing that. However, that raw aggression can be attractive, what I was saying. I was not saying that's the way you should resolve an argument with your girlfriend. But yeah. Um, yeah, Charles Gray says, "I don't think you lost that sexual attraction. She might be upset because the way you acted." That's literally what I think as well, Charles. It's like she might just be saying it's about the sexual attraction. She's probably like the same amount of sexually attracted to you, if not more, because you're kind of like pulling back. So she's kind of like even more attracted, but it's like she's probably just upset, like punishing you in a way because of the way you acted. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, so Rohit says, "When I'm trying to be strong based on the suggestions that you give on your channel, it makes me feel like a monster." Okay, Rohit, this is bad because tell me what suggestions in particular you are trying because I agree. You could misinterpret or rather not really know the correct way to implement some of these suggestions and you could just think dominance, right? Yelling at people is dominant. Therefore I will yell at people and you're going to feel like a monster. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's not really the correct way to be dominant. So let me know exactly what you're doing, Rohit, and we can try to work it out together. So Samuel Williams is saying, "Hi, Sam. Please explain the indirect approach and how guys can utilize it and how it can be way better than the direct approach. I think that's the biggest mistake I'm making with women. I'm way too direct with them when I should be more indirect. The direct approach is not working for me at all." Yes, Sam, that is a big problem that you can be too direct. For example, you're on a dating app. You ask a girl, "Hey, would you like to come over and have casual sex?" She's gonna say, "No, I wouldn't." So, you can definitely turn people off almost instantly by being too direct about how you're looking for sex. not making a proposition they're interested in. So, yeah. But, could you explain exactly the indirect approach? Like, could you tell me more about that, Sam L. Williams? But I definitely agree. Too direct about the fact that you need sex, you want sex, you would like to have sex, can instantly turn people off. Um, Jeremy Carpenter says women need to be open and honest and not play games. I'm a man and I'm open and honest, and that seems to scare them off. So, give me an example, Jeremy Carpenter. How are you being open and honest? What are you saying that is open and honest? And how do you define playing games for a woman? Because, I mean, when I read this, it seems like there's a lot of assumptions in it, such as, I don't know, what I'm reading is reading between the lines. I want to have sex. They want to have sex. Therefore, I'm going to be open and honest about the fact that I want to have sex, and I'm not playing around. No, no game playing. And therefore, they should also tell me, I want to have sex. Let's get down to it. No foreplay necessary. No dates necessary. No romance necessary. Let's do this. Okay, that's just not how women work because they're not starved for sex like you guys are. Because at any time, there's literally a million guys who would like die for free sex from them. So they don't have the same starvation mode activated at all times that you guys have. So, they're looking for things like romance. They're looking for things like proof that you're the best possible guy they can get to have sex with. So, that's what game playing it might seem like game playing to you, but that's their method of testing and assessing you and choosing the best man for the job, if that makes sense. So, Jeremy Carmen says what he meant is telling them my dating history. So can you explain that a bit more, Jeremy? Sam L. Williams says, I thought you would more know about the indirect approach. I just don't really understand the term indirect approach. Like, I feel like that's some buzzword from like some different channel, but it's not like in common usage. So I'm just wondering what the exact definition of that is. Um, the monastery says, do you like when a guy sends you a joke on a dating app? Yeah, I do. It's actually pretty good, but you want to keep it like short and sweet and not make it like some long, involved, long, involved joke. Like I always use this example because my friend always used this joke and it's like funny, it's witty, it's an icebreaker, it's good. It's not even a joke really, but it's just like a short, humorous thing he used to say to girls just as an icebreaker on online dating apps. He would just say kale or bacon. It's just not really a joke, okay, but it's funny. But if you're telling some long, involved, like, the first man did this. The second man did this. The third man did this. Or, an Irish guy, an Italian guy, or whatever walk into a bar. Like, none of that, but a short, humorous thing um, can be very good, for sure. Super Teep says, the pain in your face when you read some of this stuff. I'm sorry that you can see that, Super Teep, but you're reading me correctly. Um, Anthony Jimenez says, what should we comment? I just joined. Really anything you want, Anthony. But basically, any questions you have, any wild scenarios from your own life that you're struggling with, anything you don't understand about the female mind, anything that just boggles the mind, anything that annoys you, that kind of stuff. So Samuel Williams says, lately I've had the mindset of that women are the buyers and men are the salesmen mindset with dating. You want to know how to close the deal with women just like in sales. Well, I think that's a pretty good um, mindset to take, Sam L. Williams. I think it is good. I think it is. Because, like, a lot of guys, it's like they're not I don't know if this is actually a sales mindset, but it's like they're not offering anything to the woman. They're just saying, "Do you wanna have sex?" And the woman's thinking, "What do you bring to the table? Why should I? Make me want it." And they're just expecting that women should want it. So, like this attitude of the salesman, where you're taking responsibility, that is your role and job to sell yourself and convince the woman. So, yeah. But I mean, there's probably a lot of different variety of sales techniques, so depends what sales techniques you're gonna be using, but yeah. Um, so the monastery says, "Okay, so I'm on a dating app. You are my match. Would you rather me send a compliment or a short joke?" Um, to be honest, I think the best thing to do would be to ask for her opinion or advice on something. Because I did look through my Tinder and I looked at basically all the guys' messages that I instantly responded to. And I did notice that when they asked for my opinion on something, I commented back right away and I became more invested in the conversation. Um, but give me an example of a joke you would send and give me an example of a compliment you would send. Because both a joke and a compliment could be good, but you could also do it the wrong way. For example, there's a lot of ways you could go wrong with a compliment, but, give me an example. Wow. Okay, we got a really nice comment here from Bobby Brown. Thanks, Bobby Brown. Strikingly pleasant how emotionally intelligent you are slash seem and how beautiful you are inside and out. Your videos are much appreciated. Peace. Thanks, Bobby. That's really nice of you. So then Mill Spec Writer says, I think these guys are picking and choosing parts of your advice instead of hearing the whole message. You guys gotta listen more. Partially true, because, like, for example, that, video I was talking about where a lot of guys were interpreting that it meant, "Yell at your girlfriend and tell her, 'Sit down, we're talking about this.'" Um, I can see from the stats on the back end, most people didn't watch the whole video, so it kinda makes sense that they just, take what they want to believe from the video. But at the same time, it's not like I cover every single aspect of dating, so people are just kinda I'm not giving like a step-by-step system that leaves no room for error or anything like that. So, yeah. So then Rohit says, I went on a date. I tried to know her interests, but she wasn't willing to talk. I tried to be strong, confidently kept looking at her eyes, but she was silent all along. She isn't responding to my text now. Okay, well, so you went on the date. That's good. You got her on the date. That's good. Okay. A lot of guys, they're not even getting on this date. So good for you. Then you tried to know her interests. That's never gonna be a bad thing. Trying to get to know her interests, it can't really go wrong. Like no matter how you're acting, that's always gonna be a net positive. But she wasn't willing to talk. Okay, well, I don't think that was a result of you trying to get to know her interests. And then you tried to be strong, confidently kept looking at her eyes. Um, okay, well, it's possible this went wrong. Like, if I could get you on video and you could show me, like, how you were just confidently looking at her eyes. I mean, maybe it became a bit creepy, maybe you were just staring too much, and then you didn't tell me how you were trying to be strong, but being strong and looking into her eyes, these probably aren't the things that blew it for you. If anything, depends on how you did it, but it was probably good. But she was silent all along. Okay, so basically what I imagine might have happened here is she saw you. Instantly, she just felt, "Okay, this guy isn't what I was looking for. and I just wanna get out of this date as quickly as possible, but I don't know how to basically assertively say, I don't think this is working out. I'm gonna go now." So instead, she just kind of passive aggressively stopped talking and hoped that you would be like, "Okay, let's like wrap it up and leave." So, that's probably what happened here. Um, but you have to remember, Rohit, like you cannot win them all. You could be the most dominant, good-looking guy. You could be strong, you could be confident, and some girls still aren't gonna like you. So, um, you know, that's nothing to be ashamed of, that's actually to be expected, it's completely normal. Um, however, there's possibly some things you are doing that could be improved, but I don't know why that should make you feel like a monster, Rohi, because you're trying to get to know her interest, you're trying to be strong, you're confidently looking in her eyes. How does that make you feel like a monster? If that was me, it would make me feel like, a strong person who's also polite and trying to get to know someone's interests. So I don't think you have anything to be ashamed of. I don't think that should make you feel like a monster. And if she doesn't respond to your text, like literally, you cannot expect that if you do everything perfectly, every single girl you like will fall into bed with you. It's only going to raise your chances. It's only going to raise the percentage of girls who are willing to consider you. So remember that. So Charles Gray says maybe she is not that into you. It happens. It really does happen. And sometimes it's for reasons that you can change. Like, for example, you get on a date and you just seem like really nervous and your outfit is all hideous. And she's just like, oh no. Like on site, it's a no. But sometimes you're gonna be a great looking guy. You're gonna have a really cool outfit. You're gonna have a great talk. And she's just looking for a certain kind of guy. Or her friends are forcing her to date and she's not really interested. Or she's going on a date, but she's actually compulsively heterosexual and she's literally asexual and trying to convince herself that she likes men. Like there's so many reasons that she could just like not, you know, not be into you and you're doing everything right. So yeah. Um Hello Kessel Soul and hello Didar Singh. So the monastery says this is about like a compliment on a dating app would be hello beautiful, mainly simple flirting, and the joke would be what did the banana say to the elephant? Nothing because bananas can't talk. All right, the monastery. So I would say those are both bad, being brutally honest here. Hello beautiful, it's not good because it's generic. It looks like something you could have copied and pasted to every single girl you're talking to or every single girl you matched with. A better compliment would be something specifically about her photos or something she wrote in her profile that's specifically tailored to her. Okay. So just saying beautiful, to be honest, it's not really that much of a compliment for a woman because so many guys are basically thinking, you know, I'll just call her beautiful and then she'll like me. Well, the problem is 10,000 guys are calling her beautiful and she can tell it's nothing about her personally. It's just the fact that they like her, it's just the fact that she's a girl, basically. So, hello, beautiful, it doesn't really work well on women. I mean, it's different if you're in like a long term relationship or something and your boyfriend is saying, hello, beautiful, that's good. But for picking up a girl, for talking to a girl on dating app, hello, beautiful, it's weak. It's weak. It's lame. It's generic. It's just instantly going to be dismissed. Okay. And then this joke, what did the banana say to the elephant? Nothing because bananas can't talk. Come on, this is like a first grader like laughs at this kind of thing. And also it doesn't start a conversation. It doesn't engage her. Do you know what I'm saying? So like on my Tinder profile, I had something like, I'm vegan And some guy asked me like, "Oh, it's so cool you're vegan. Like, maybe you could give me a compliment about that. Like, I really admire that. What are the best vegan restaurants in these areas? Like, I've been looking to try some out." Then, boom, 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 I'm gonna instantly say, "Oh my gosh, I really love this place. I love this place. I love this place." And then you see the conversation is rolling because it's specific to me. He read my profile, so I can tell he's kind of like a, more serious guy in the sense that he seems to have actual interest in me personally. That kind of thing is the right way to go, in my opinion. Um, Flirting can be good, like, you can give him the compliment, but just make sure it's specific. And girls are very particular about this, like, as we all know, guys on their profiles are just like this is this is, like, the most common thing in the world. "Who reads the profiles anyway? We all know we just look at the pictures." To a girl, that's, like, the literal stupidest thing anyone's ever said because girls are definitely reading the profiles, and they're looking for guys who are reading their profiles as well. So, read her profile, examine her pictures like you're in the CIA for clues about things you could comment on and things you can make specific observations and compliments about. That is extremely key in online dating. So, hello, Peter. Happy New Year to you as well. So, Carson Jr. says, from a woman's perspective, why do some women not like men who keyword look like they're full of themselves? Um, so I think that's definitely something that triggers women because they want to be the beautiful one. So a guy who looks really, really good, really full of themselves, that can make her think, damn, it's going to be hard to keep this guy because he probably has a lot of options. He's going to get a ton of girls. And also, the focus is kind of going to be on him looking so good. I might even look less good than him. And therefore, it's like the attention and the focus is going to be on how hot he is rather than how hot I am. And so it basically takes away like a big part of what they want in a relationship, which is basically that, you know, I get a guy who tells me I'm beautiful, who thinks I'm like a goddess, who thinks I'm so hot and is obsessed with me. It kind of takes that role from the girl. Do you see what I'm saying? So some guys, some girls, when they see just like a really, really good looking guy, instantly they're like, oh, he's full of himself. I can't handle that. That's not for me. Like you'll hear a lot of girls saying, oh, I just like really like ugly guys. I like weird looking guys. Because a lot of girls don't actually want a guy who looks too perfect, too full of himself. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where it's coming from. What do you think, Carson Jr.? So, wow, okay covers. Did you learn anything, okay covers? Let me know your thoughts. So let's see, what else? So Meir says, this is a pretty interesting question. Hi Victoria, Mr. Videos previously have mentioned that women are actually simple as opposed to being complicated, which a lot of people claim. In what way are women simple, but others miss it? Well, I do agree with that. I do think like women are very simple. Um, I think that understanding men's perspective a bit better now, I understand that women's goals are just so different from men's goals that when men assume women have the same goals, they're like totally thrown off by how different their goals are, that it becomes like this assuming that a woman should think exactly like you, if you're assuming that you are like the standard human and everyone else should just be like a carbon copy of you. So you really have to start understanding female culture, the female gaze, the goals of women in dating and sex, and then it becomes quite simple. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really a matter of ditching this mentality that, you know, what a guy thinks is what a woman's going to think, that male sexuality is the same as female sexuality, that women want sex exactly like the way you want sex, that, the market dynamics for women are the same as they are for you. Like, when you understand these things are different, then you understand what women want isn't really, it's not that complicated. I mean, I feel like what it really comes down to is men are thinking, why isn't having sex simple for women? Why don't they just want to have sex with like anyone, like we men do? Or why don't they just want to have sex with like, you know, pretty much anyone, right? So it's like I feel like they think that's like the most complicated thing. But there's a lot of things that men find complicated, which I'm like, this isn't complicated at all. Women want a strong guy. They want a guy who can, protect and provide a lot of times. They want the best guy they can get. They want an alpha in love, as I say on my channel. They want emotional connection. They want a deep bond. And these are goals that not all men have. So it seems complicated. It's like, what? Like, why can't we just like, watch football together and then have sex and then not speak to each other and like we're good? Okay, if you're thinking like that, it's going to seem mind-blowingly complex. But if you're just understanding, you know, women want deep connection. Women want to feel seen, like deeply. Women want kind of like this dominant, like fantasy sex. Women want these alpha strong guys who seem like they could protect them in like an apocalyptic scenario. Women, want to kind of be like seen as the most beautiful women in the world. Like all these little things like that. Everything follows quite naturally from that. Like nothing a woman does is like, what the hell? Makes no sense. So yeah, it is really simple, but you do have to start becoming a student of female culture. And, you know, it's not necessarily easy, but it can be done. Okay, damn okay covers. I'm so glad you are saying this. So I recommended this like extreme book um for you guys to read. And it's so extreme that I'm kind of like, am I crazy for recommending this? But the reason I did recommend it is because when I read it, I had like a flash of insight and I understood like the very roots of submissive fantasies and dominance. And I was hoping that if you guys read it, you might have like the same flash of insight where it just becomes very clear because it's taken to such an extreme, you understand. So, OK Cover says he's 70% through. He said, it's like you said, this book takes it to such an extreme that it suddenly becomes clear what the desired root dynamic is, how far it goes. It helped me join a few dots. That's priceless. Fantastic. OK Covers, because that's what it did for me too. I'm like, oh, wow. Like everything just kind of falls into place where I'm like, wow, like this is what it really is, like taken to the extreme. And now, so, and like, don't you see how, even though, of course, in a dating world, like people don't want this like extreme BDSM fantasy, it's like all the things they do want are just very, very watered down versions of that. Very, 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 very watered down, but you can understand where it's coming from. So, yeah, that's really interesting that you also understood that. Then he says, I suddenly understood what is meant by women wanting humiliation, and I realized it isn't inherently a negative thing. That realization made me feel better about my role. Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful because that is, in my opinion, very, very key. Very, very key. So I'm curious, how did that make you feel better about your role? Like, is it kind of like you're not feeling bad about taking the dominant role? Um, so okay, Cover says, no, you're not crazy. It's just ignorance in society. I love women and I know y'all are like that. Shame isn't inherent in our nature. It's something that an ignorant society piles on each other. You know, I've often thought that myself. It's like the shame comes from being constantly like looked down upon and develops into a kink. And I think a lot of women have that kink because a lot of women are kind of treated in a very ignorant and sexist way in society and becomes a kink, becomes a humiliation shame kink. So yeah. So then OK Carter says, yes, I suddenly felt less like an abuser as a man. Even my voice deepened after thinking that through, as weird as it sounds. Wow, OK covers. Wow, this is mind blowing to me. This is so mind blowing. That's what I feel like with a lot of guys. I'm just like, if you understood this, like, okay, for example, a lot of guys write to me and they say things like, why do women have these consensual non-consent fantasies? It makes me feel like a monster. Why do we have to be dominant? I feel like this is wrong to hurt women. Like I would never do that. This isn't me. I was raised to be, kind and compassionate. I'm a feminist. And you can be all those things and still participate in the role playing of the kink and not feel bad about it, not feel shame about it. And if those guys were to remove that layer of just resistance and shame, in my opinion, they would instantly become like 100 times more attractive to women because this is like a deep desire of women. There's not enough guys supplying it. There's not enough guys who are okay with it. There's not enough guys who understand it. And women are just kind of frustrated, to be honest. Where are all the real men? That kind of thing. That's like what women say to each other a lot. They'll just say, like, nowadays, like, there's just boys. Like, where did all the like traditional guys go? Okay, well, that's what they really mean. So, yeah. Jeremy Carpenter says, Victoria, women are not as open as men. I'd agree with you, Jeremy, in certain respects, obviously, because I think women have a lot of sexual shame. Like, you guys know how Andrew Tate and all of these like male podcasters are constantly trying to tell women, and even that girl, like Just Pearly Things, she's constantly trying to tell women, you need to be a virgin. Men want virgins. Oh, I would be disgusted if a girl had a high body count. You know, I wouldn't, that's not wife material and all that kind of BS. Um, that's why they're not as open as men, because they've got a lot of sexual shame, like, a lot of them buy into it, a lot of them are scared to talk about sex, so when you guys ask them, like, "Oh, what do you want in a man?" They're gonna leave out all the parts about sex, because it's basically wrong as a woman to say, "Yeah, I really love sex. I wanna have sex all the time. I wanna have sex 5 times a day." Like, you're basically crazy as a woman for saying that. So they repress everything sexual in order to seem virginal, pure, and desirable. So that's part of the reason why they're not as open, and part of the reason why I think I am more open because I got over that sexual shame that I used to have on a very deep level as well, deeper than I even knew. And that's why I know so many women who think that they're like sexually liberated or whatever have it very deep on levels they don't even know about. Like when I became a stripper, I had to face that because I had to tell everyone, oh, yeah, I'm a stripper and not feel ashamed about that. So let's see. Kessel Soul says, I have a pretty high emotional intelligence as a guy, I think, and sometimes I can see that thing in women's eyes at special moments when they stare at me. I was fearful to jump into that rabbit hole. Lol. You know what, Kessel Soul? I've always thought that about myself as well. I don't know if I was just reading into it, but I always felt like I could just see kind of like the deeper sexual thoughts in like people's minds. So I don't doubt that you are seeing that thing in women's eyes because it's there and you know it's there. So I believe you that you're seeing it when they're staring at you. But what do you mean you were fearful to jump into that rabbit hole? So Aaron Garcia says, I have a question. I'm talking to a girl and we have a good thing going on and we talk, right? And what does it mean when a woman says partner? Because this girl is a Christian, but what I'm trying to say is, what does partner mean? Like boyfriend, girlfriend, or what? So basically, you're talking to her, but she's saying that she has a partner. Probably means husband or boyfriend, or maybe girlfriend. That's what people usually mean when they say it. I mean, there's pretty much no other thing they could be meaning by that. So, yeah, I'd say that's the answer. But you could just ask her specifically. So you're like, you could just be like, so does partner mean husband, boyfriend, business partner? Like, what's going on? So then Dev says, as a man that is very annoying, where have all the real men gone? I have no issue being dominant and pleasing King's fantasies, but I also want to be very kind, gentle, and loving. Well, I can definitely understand why it's annoying, Dev. Yeah. I mean, it is annoying. It's stupid. It's annoying. And women, they do want both of what you're saying. However, sometimes I feel guys err a bit more on the side of very kind, gentle, and loving, and they don't show enough of the dominant, pleasing kinks and fantasies part. And so, like, the balance is offset. Like, they think they're doing enough of the former, but they're actually doing way too much of the latter. Just be careful of that. But ultimately, you want to know how to do both, and you need to do both. But it's much easier to do the very kind, gentle, and loving thing, to be honest, than it is to do the dominant thing, is the truth, in my opinion. Because no one teaches you that because it's taboo, it's wrong, it's crazy. So, so Bobby Brown says, why is being a moderate simp looked down upon these days? Just an overall gentleman? You know, Bobby Brown and others on this chat, maybe you guys could answer me that because I don't really know, like, what the deal is with, like, men being, policing other men and telling them they're simps, because a lot of times, like, I'll see it on my channel, a guy will just say something nice, and I'm like, "That was really nice, it meant a lot, and I appreciate it a lot." But then, like, 10 people will comment, "Simp, simp, 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 simp," and I'm like, "You guys are just so misled if you think that's simping." Because a guy who's saying something, like a specific kind compliment is, like, way closer to me wanting to talk to him and actually connect with him than the people who are commenting simp. So, yeah. Um, so Sam William says, for dates, I don't recommend guys planning stuff out in advance, but instead try to see them on the same day slash night. That cut down the high chance of her flaking by a lot. Um, I mean, I definitely think it's good if you can get her to agree to see you that night. That's probably best because, you know, it's more likely to lead to a hookup if she's just kind of like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." Because, I actually saw a really funny TikTok about this exact topic. Sometimes girls just get really, like, horny, basically, and they're like, "Oh my god, I have to meet someone tonight." So that's good for you guys. However, I don't think there's anything wrong with planning stuff in advance. Like, for example, if you say, "How about Friday night?" That's good too, and sometimes it can be better. But, the same day, same night thing, if you can make it happen, would be great as well. And I agree, it would cut down the chances of her flaking. So, yeah, I think it's good advice, Sam. However, in some cases, they're gonna see that as rude, and they're gonna reject you until you plan a date in advance. That's, like, really common advice in female books is how to get a guy to stop giving you the runaround and asking you out that night. How to get him to respectfully plan, like, a legit for, like, Friday night or Saturday. So, a lot of times, the advice in these books is if he if he asks you out that night, just say, "Oh, sorry, like, I'm really busy, I had something planned already." And then the guy is gonna be, like, getting the hint, "Oh, I gotta give her adequate time and ask her out in advance," you know? So so Dale Hill says, "So many factors, economic, cultural, status, play a part in connecting with women. Women have a stronger ingrained survival drive in choosing partners. Often nice, respectful men are seen as weak men." I agree, Dale Hill. I 100% that is rare. So Kessel Soul says, "Some women are way more skilled in seeing the deeper emotions in people. I can see you have it for sure. I was scared to jump in because I didn't know what it was, lol." Yeah, I'm not saying I'm some expert at reading emotion or whatever, but sometimes I feel like I can sense like the sexual tension in people. Gunter Torf says, "Hi, Victoria. Tate is a joke. Men are shamed by society, including a lot of women, for desiring women in a direct way, too, though." I agree, Gunter Torf. I definitely agree. I agree Tate is a joke, and I agree men are shamed by society for desiring women in a direct way. I do agree. So, let's see. So, the monastery says, "I thought about your online dating apps. I was telling him, don't compliment by saying hello, beautiful, make like a silly joke." And he says, "And I have this debate. Saying general compliments on dating apps is good because pointing out specific things can come off try hard." Well, I could not disagree more with that. The monastery. It is very good to point out specific things. Um, I guess if you're just trying to come off as, like, generic Chad fuckboy and hoping she picks you out of, like, the 10,000 other generic Chad fuckboys that she has available on her online dating apps, you could take that approach, I guess. However, I think it's definitely a much safer bet to give these specific compliments because so many guys are not giving those specific compliments, so you will stand out. Um, the monastery says, "I don't even know the girl. Why should I pretend to be extremely interested in her? I think she's pretty and want to get to know her more." So, you don't have to go overboard and pretend to be extremely interested in her. You don't have to be extreme, but you can make some kind of offhand comment about something you observed or noticed that is specific about her profile or pictures. Like, it doesn't have to be some extreme interest, long, nerdy, overly invested email. It can be something as simple as like, "Oh, I noticed you were at Mount Rushmore. Like, you know, how did you like it?" Like, that's something you noticed about a specific picture, let's say, and you comment on it. Not just like, "Hey, beautiful," or "Hey, how are you?" or "How's your weekend?" or "What are your weekend plans?" or, "Hey, hi," or just some random joke that doesn't even start a conversation. But another mistake you're making, I think, the monastery is, "I think she's pretty and want to get to know her more." That is a very male gaze thing, like, "Yeah, I don't know her yet. All I know is that she looks good, and I wanna get her to know her more." Women don't think like that. Women hate that attitude. Women are, like, repulsed by that attitude. They don't like, if a man says that, "Oh, I just noticed your looks, and I wanna get to know you more." Women think you should be able to see something beyond just, "She's generically pretty, she's generically, you know, the perfect balance of thin and curvy, and I want to get to know you more because you are someone that I might like to have sex with." Like, that's a complete repulsive turnoff to women, and that's the typical male attitude, like, I'm pretty sure every single guy would say that, but you don't wanna convey that. You wanna convey, "Not only are you pretty, but I'm interested in you. I'm intrigued by you. There's something about you that I want to get to know more," rather than just, "You're pretty just like every single other girl that I want to fuck." Do you know what I'm saying? So, if you take this attitude, "I think she's pretty and want to get to know her more." 1, you're acting like every single other guy in the dating app. You're not impressing her, you're actually repulsing her. So, yeah. And then, the monastery follows up by saying, "I haven't even spoken to her yet. I think she's hot, but I can't decide if I want monogamy with her." Yes, exactly what I was saying. Every single guy, that's their attitude. Every single woman finds her repulsive. The monastery says, "Of course I would, but women don't respond to even get up to that point." Yeah, because I could show you guys my Tinder and you will see there's like 1,000 guys with your exact same attitude. Not one of them are standing out. Not one of them are offering something that appeals to the female gaze. They're appealing to the male gaze. They're saying what they feel, which is, "Hey, you're beautiful. You're hot. What are you doing this weekend? We should get together." That's carbon copy of like 1,000 other people. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're applying for a job. You need to stand out. And one way you can stand out is by appealing to the employer, appealing to the employer's desires, interests. And one way you can do that is comment on something specific. I'm sure it works the same in like jobs as well. You have to learn about the company, research the company, tailor your resume to the company, all that kind of things. So, yeah. Um So I don't blame you, the monastery, but it's really bad. They're not going to respond to you because they have too many other options and you don't stand out. I'm not kidding you guys. My Tinder would literally crash when I opened it because there was just so many matches on there. Like, I'm not saying I'm special or whatever. I'm saying that's how it is for all women. There's a big imbalance, as we all know. So The generic male gaze stuff, like, isn't gonna cut it, probably. I mean, you might get lucky. You probably won't. So, yeah. Hello, 92. So Jeremy Carpenter says, "So should we just ask what she likes?" Could you be more specific, Jeremy? Like, what would you say? It sounds like a bad idea, but I would more comment or notice or observe something that you can glean from her pictures or profile. All right. Kessel Soul says, "I strive to see past everyone's surface level and see them at a deeper level. I like peering into people's souls and seeing their true selves." Well, Kessel Soul, this is going to be a very helpful attitude, I think, when it comes to women, because you are thinking with the female gaze. You got your female goggles on, to put it bluntly, in that, yeah, I know this is just you and who you are, right? But I'm saying this is going to appeal to women because, well, it's not sufficient. It is one aspect of what they crave. You know, it might be sufficient for some people, and definitely in your case, it might be depending on how else you are and act, but yeah. Kessel Soulson, I feel like many girls want that masculine hug for their hearts or something, but just an intuitive guess though. Well, you're right, Kessel Soul. They do. They do. That's a really good way of putting it. A masculine hug for their hearts. It's true. But a lot of guys don't get the masculine part right. They get the hug part right. They're like, "Oh, I'll give you the friend zoned hug," but they're not getting the masculine part right. For a really good example, I've shown you guys this guy before, but I always watch his videos and I'm always like, guys could just learn how to be like this guy, they'd be really good. But he's always getting deleted. He's on Instagram. This guy Gideon, but this guy's kind of like a badass. I heard he was like in jail at one point. He doesn't seem like the type who would be, but well, I don't know what I meant by that, but like he just seems kind of like an artsy like drama kid or whatever, but I don't know, maybe picked up some tips in there about like how to be like a dom masculine badass. So, um so CCL says, "Well, quoting Shakespeare at a strip club land chicks." No, CCL, this is falling into a really classic trap, I feel like, where it's like, well, doing origami at a strip club land chicks. Or it's like, unfortunately, no, because what lands chicks at a strip club is the same thing that lands chicks like anywhere else, basically. um, but you got to pay more at a strip club to land chicks. You got to be generous. But now, quoting Shakespeare, it's not going to impress them. You know, a lot of strippers, they're really smart. They're probably like a professor in Shakespeare on the side. You know what I'm saying? So you might just be like mansplaining Shakespeare to them and they're just going to be humoring you. Well, really, they're like, you know, writing some peer reviewed article on like Shakespeare. So, yeah. Kessel Soul says, "Yeah, like supporting and caring and powerful and like you're in my care. I got you. You can rely on me. Don't worry." Kind of hug. Well, Kessel Soul, I have a feeling you do well with women because if you understand this mentality, you are understanding something huge about women. And I think that you're going to be doing a lot better than average with an attitude like that. 100%. That is a very powerful attitude that you intuitively understand is very good. So CCL says, all the world's a stage. To shake it or not to shake it? That is the question. Well, I kind of like that. CCL is pretty good. It's pretty funny. Um, I do like that. But maybe just save it for outside the strip club doors. Um, John Asimo says, I'm glad you're here. I just want to say that you're absolutely giving the cheat codes to attraction and just being able to attract good energy to you regardless of gender. Thank you very much, Sean. I really appreciate that. Like, that's really nice. Thank you. Randy Johnson says, where can I get a pair of those female goggles? Do they sell them on the back of comic books, maybe? You know what? I'm surprised they don't, Randy, because that is exactly what they would sell on the back of comic books. I love that. Genius. Genius. I could, like, just see the ad that's, like, written out for that, kind of in the along the lines of, "I was a 98-pound weakling until I bought the Charles Atlas system." Love it. So, Randy Johnson says, "It's hard to be that heavy-handed or dominant with women. It feels wrong, but some might need that the to help process some things. Giving what she needs comes from a place of caring." Good point, Randy. Yeah. I saw this really interesting book that I kinda wanna read, which might sound kinda scary, but, I know. Do any of you guys listen to this podcast that Jordan Harbinger show? I really like him, and his latest podcast episode was on this guy who has written a book. It's basically like the wisdom of psychopaths, and it's basically like how learning from, like, what psychopaths do well can help you in business and life, and I don't know what he's gonna say say because the guy was, like, the most likable guy in the world. He said he was, like, very high on the psychopath spectrum, but that is what they say about them, they're very, like, charming, right? But anyway, he didn't seem like the type, but I guess he's high on the spectrum, but he said he has a conscience. Anyway, this book seemed interesting, and I was thinking, maybe these qualities could, be useful to some guys, but, I haven't read it or anything, but I was just curious to see, like, what they could teach you, because I do feel a lot of guys and women have the same problem, like the nice guy problem. Basically, all women have it, which is why they don't want that in the man. Basically, women are basically all nice guys. Okay, not all of them, but deep down, we're raised to be like passive pushovers. Be kind, be compassionate, be sweet. Kindness is like the goal of life. And so, you know, we kind of need a balance in a man, which is partially why a lot of women are just so attracted to this like alpha dom strong guy with a lot of masculine qualities. So the problem is a lot of guys are basically raised in the same way and are just told to be like rule followers, nice guys, and both men and women they really need to access more of their cold-blooded qualities. But for men, it's more urgent. because a lot of times they're not gonna get women without that, whereas women can get men without that. Yeah, JB Wells, the psychopaths are just very clear thinkers and not saddled with emotional baggage. Yeah, that's what he was saying. Oh, you said you've read it. Excellent book. Oh, wow, very cool. So you think it's worth reading, JB Weld? Like, did it teach you anything you didn't know? Thanks, Knight Rider. Dale Hill says, I've dated some dancers. Didn't cost any more, actually less than the average woman you'd meet. Yeah, I mean, they've got money and they can make money really easily, so they don't need to date for money. And they're not kind of like obsessed with a guy giving them these luxury experiences and this luxury lifestyle because strippers can buy all that for themselves. And they're very independent in that way. And they provide for themselves and a lot of times for their boyfriends because they've got the pick of a guy who isn't necessarily rich, but is sexy, good in bed, or like got really good alpha qualities. So yeah. Kessel Soul says, "Hey, thanks, Victoria. Haha, but I'm actually never been in a relationship, still a virgin." Well, Kessel Soul, something is keeping you back because you got the attitude right. What do you think it is? What do you think your weak spot is? 92 says, book name? I thought it was something like The Wisdom of Psychopaths, but maybe JB Weld can tell us because I haven't read it, like I said, but I just heard about it. Dale Hill says, but many have big issues. Okay, let's go back. Oh, this is about dancers. But many have big issues. You can be strong, but it's a learned behavior, usually from dad, brothers, etc. If you've never had that around you growing up, you've been raised by sim training media. Well, that's kind of sadly like what my boyfriend says. Like, basically, he's told me that like his dad, like, basically like beat like the femininity like out of him, basically, and he kind of, I don't know whether it was genetic or his dad like modeled how to be masculine for him. It's really sad hearing what happened to him, but was it for the best? I don't know, that's kind of like I feel like I hear a lot of guys saying, "Oh, let men train men how to be men." You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we need to teach men how to be tough, hardened, and it's not really helpful when women are like, "Oh, it's really good to feel your feelings and stuff," because maybe it's not gonna help them in their career, in the world of men, and with women. What do you guys think? But at the same time, it's, like, so sad because like, God, some of these guys just seem so, like, locked up and repressed. Is it worth it? What do you guys think? Do you think that, like, your dad needs to teach you how to be a man by, like, bludgeoning it into you? Like, what do you think? I'm honestly very curious from you guys, your thoughts on that. Dale Hill says, "Dancers have seen, talked to all types every day. They learned." Yeah, Dale Hill, I agree with you. They have seen and they have talked to all types every day. 100%. It is a my friend, William I shouldn't say his name. My friend, he calls it, strip club university. Um, because you can learn so much at a strip club because, like you're saying, you're just cycling in so many different types of people, and it's like a sales job, you just have to talk to them all. You really learn about different types of people. It's a fantastic education in, like, human nature and people, 100%. And dancers, they're definitely some of, like, The coolest, most badass women I've ever met in my life. Like, I was literally in awe when I started working there. I'm like, "I never met a woman like you. You guys are fucking insanely" what's the word? Just, like, advanced because of what you're saying, Dale Hill. Like, they've just seen and talked to it all, and they've just learned, like, these skills, like, these people skills and these, like, manipulation skills and just these assertive skills. It's incredible. Anyway. So Charles Gray says, "No, but being a good male role model will help you a lot even if you don't got males around you." So, like, yeah, I could see that. Like, if you have, like, a mentor, like, they doesn't need to be, like, an abusive mentor or whatever. That makes sense. So, then 92 says, "Yes, strippers radiate goddess-like qualities." I 100% agree. I agree. It's fascinating. It really is. Um, and I have a lot of theories on that. All right, let's go back and read what some of these people are saying. So, Scream Finger says, "Any good mentors, movies to watch, books, etc., to learn masculine behaviors slash defeat the simp hypnotization of men." There's two guys I always recommend, but like I'm always seeing them. I'm like, this guy's so good. So I'm gonna. There's this guy, French Brutus on TikTok. Something like French Brutus 4, I think, on TikTok. I think he's really good. Like every attitude, everything he says, I'm just like, why aren't there more guys like him? Like, yes. And then this guy, Gideon Mazikeen, he was on TikTok, but he got kicked off. Now he's on Instagram, and I think it's like Google this. Um, and then what else? Other guys who I think are like really masculine. Who do you guys like? Who do you guys like as like a role model to learn masculine behaviors? I'm curious. So OK Cover says, I could be wrong, but in my estimation, it feels good to be cold as a man. We only dwell on the feminine side out of confusion slash culture. That's really interesting, OK Covers. Like, I I believe you. Like, that's really interesting. I could kind of see it. Scrimfinger says, "OK Covers, I hate being cold personally, but I've learned to be like that as I've gotten older. Makes me feel guilty sometimes." Okay, another very interesting perspective. So then Roy says, "Do you watch Bond Church by Jesse Lee Petersons? Check him out once." All right, I'm gonna copy and paste that so I can look him up later. Who is he, Roy? And Charles Gray says, "No, but being a good male role model will help you a lot, even if you don't got male." Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Cash says, "What does it mean when a girl likes when a man acts hot?" Oh, it's really interesting. That's really interesting because it's like maybe as a guy, you don't know what it means if somebody acts hot because it's just like they look hot. Well, yeah, you can act hot. Basically, there's lots of things guys can do to act hot, but basically, a lot of times it's embodying these dominant alpha male qualities in a watered down form in some way or another, which will basically make women feel those alpha vibes and it turns them on. Like, for example, we all know probably by this point the famed example of, oh, it's so hot when a guy is putting the car in reverse and he's got his hand on the passenger seat, right? Like, that's what women are always saying these days. Okay, because he's basically in control. He's kind of like James Bond. He's like, I got this. Watch me like drive this race car. You know what I'm saying? And he's kind of stretching out in this like alpha male position, like a, you know, primate, like stretching for dominance, and you're the passenger princess, as they say on TikTok. You're just passively sitting there in the seat. He's like, I got this, baby. I'm gonna take us to like 100 miles per hour. Let's go. You know what I'm saying, okay? It's got this alpha dom vibes written all over it. It's like Christian Grey saying, "Get in my helicopter, Anastasia." Like, it's this kind of thing, all right? What's another thing girls thinks is like acting hot? When a guy leans against a wall, okay? Well, it's kind of like he's trapping her. Again, he's stretching out like a alpha silverback or whatever, and he's kinda, like, physically being, like, intimidating, almost, like, pushing her up against a wall a bit, and he's kinda, like, trapping her. So it's like, again, you can see he's acting hot, it's his behavior, it's just a little thing like that. What's another thing girls think is hot? If a guy, like, I saw this on a TikTok trend, when guys, like, just put their arms above their head like that, right? Okay, well, it's like he's confining you. Another, like, dom move. You know what I'm saying? So all these acting hot things that guys do can really come back to this thing. What's another thing girls think is, like, hot when guys do? Um, give me an example. But you probably get the picture, right? So, yeah, acting hot is displaying the behaviors that often relate to the whole female fantasy. It doesn't have to be about looks. In fact, while I'm not saying looks are totally unimportant, I am saying these behaviors are, in my opinion, even more vital and crucial. All right. Samuel Williams says women also want guys who show up for their physical and mental health, and they want guys who are pursuing their passions and aren't acting like couch potatoes and are wasting their lives away. True or false? I would say definitely true. Um, so let's see. All right, I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up here. Cash says Aragorn. I agree. Jeremy Carpenter says Jordan Peterson. That's somebody while you can be interested in his ideas, you don't wanna emulate him as kind of like a masculine mentor that women will be attracted to. Because 'cause I'm pretty sure, like, no woman is attracted to Jordan Peterson. He has a lot of, like, beta feminine whininess to him that I don't think women are gonna find attractive at all. Charles Gray says, "Thanks, Castle Soul," and then Charles Gray says, "Dancers are only out for money. Of course, they seen it all because they've been around top guys, aka high value guys." Um, well, first of all, dancers, they're really good looking, usually, or they know at least how to put on makeup and clothes to appear really good looking. So it's not like they're only meeting top guys or high value guys at the strip club. They're also meeting them in their daily life. So it's not like the strip club is what puts them in contact with high value guys. Like, these girls are meeting very attractive chads, rich guys all the time. So, um, 92 says, sometimes I would admire pimps back in the 60s and 70s, maybe not the violent, brutal beatings, but some aspects are to admire from them. Well, that's what I've heard, 92, is that they basically got the job or started in that line of work because they did understand women so well. So they could actually, manipulate or form these like relationships with them where they're kind of like, the women are like obsessed or I don't know, they drug them. I don't exactly know, but yeah, they supposedly really understood women. So I'm sure there was a lot to learn from them. But so did you actually know some of these guys and what were they like? I'm curious. Hello, chocolate expert 2. So Matthew Siri says, sounds like part of the acting hot or masculine are moves that show confidence by taking up more space. That's one aspect of it, Matthew Siri, but I want you guys to go to like the bottom of the iceberg, okay? Like all these behaviors are somewhere along the iceberg, but at the bottom of the iceberg, at the bottom of the vortex, in my opinion, it's all about BDSM. Like we were talking earlier in the live, that book Owner and Owned can show you what's at the bottom of the vortex. Everything will fall into place when you understand that. But for sure, taking up more space, there's a lot of ways that's shown, and a lot of ways women are attracted to that. For example, man spreading. Have you guys heard of that? When a guy is just like a lot of times I'll see these videos on TikTok and girls are kind of making fun of guys and how like some guys like, "Hey, do you want to come over?" And then she's like in his bedroom and there's just like a mattress on the floor and like some beer cups and he's like man spreading and the girl's making fun of him because she's saying like, "Oh, he's just kind of like so clueless." At the same time, what they're not admitting is they're in this guy's bedroom because they find certain things he's doing hot and alpha. Like one of the things is the man spreading. It'd be good. Display of dominance. It takes up space. They're not going to necessarily tell you this because it's like it might be like partially a love hate thing, but it's good for you guys. It's kind of annoying because it's like you gotta love to hate it or hate to love it. Exactly. So, all right. Um, Charles Square says, "How come women who make a lot of money are masculine?" I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, do you think that makes them masculine? And what do you mean by that? Cash says, Andrew Tate, JK, don't like that guy. I don't like him either. I mean, he's absolutely ridiculous. And supposedly how's his like lawsuit going? Um, so Alex Ramirez says, where to take someone on a date? I would recommend a dark wine bar or a dark bar, like a dark speakeasy. Someplace that's like almost pitch black, like basically as dark as it can get. Someplace where there's alcohol and someplace where there's like some velvet seating, if you will, like that kind of vibe. It creates romance, it creates eroticism, it creates intimacy. Yeah, you can't go wrong with something like that. I mean, there's so many ways you can go wrong, but that's your best bet, in my opinion. So Taco Thursday says Andrew Tate spits a lot of facts. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the things he's saying are so basic. It's like, how could they not be facts? Like, just work out, get your finances under control. Like, yeah, facts, right? But it's like he also spits out a lot of BS. It's pretty hilarious. So then Castle Soul says Jordan Peterson is actually pretty great. I really like him. It's just people only share the most controversial videos of him, not like the videos of him being a university professor. Yeah, I've seen a couple videos which I thought he was making some good points. So, all right. Um, so Chocolate Expert 2 says, do you think girls like when guys wait to kiss and all that, but just hug and cuddle? Obviously, some girls will, but you're really running the risk of just being way too beta when you're just hugging and cuddling and waiting to kiss. She might kind of be thinking, like, what's wrong? However, some girls, I'm sure it will be okay for, or even good for, even perfect for, but in general, I would not wait to kiss and just hug and cuddle because it's just going to appear a bit too passive, bit too feminine, bit too beta. Good evening, Christian. So Naughty 2 says, "Oh no, I read books and movies on pimps and would always be seeing how they carry themselves around other top pimps and how they talk to a woman in the in and talk a woman into the vortex of their world." Very interesting, Naughty 2. Do you have any recommendations? So Gongsun Shin says, "What's your reaction to Tate's arrest?" Um, I don't really know. Like, I just saw that supposedly he was living in Romania. He was going on dates with girls. Then he was making them fall in love with him. And then he was telling them, like, making them do cam girl stuff and like making money off of them. Am I right? Am I wrong? I mean, do I believe it? Yeah, I definitely believe it. I don't know. What do you guys think of it? Um, so Charles Gray says, I often see women who make a lot of money are usually masculine, like saying they're strong and independent, I don't need a man, etc. What's your take on it? Okay, so I've kind of talked about this in one of my videos, but when women say they're strong and independent and then they don't need a man, they're still looking for a man, usually, almost always. That's kind of just like a false bravado in a way. I mean, it's true in the sense that they are strong, they are independent, but how do I explain this? Like, for example, this is a typical plot in like a romantic comedy, okay? There's like this working woman. She's very type A. She's very busy. Like, for example, if you've ever seen the movie The Holiday, which is one of the most classic rom-coms, most classic Christmas movies, right? Cameron Diaz's character. She's exactly this type. She's strong and independent. She's a high-powered Hollywood exec. She makes trailers, and she's extremely successful. She's extremely type A to the point where she's so strong and independent that she can't cry even. She doesn't even need a man because she can't, like, get emotionally involved because, like, she's just so fixated on success, taking care of herself, and keeping it together. However, then she does this house exchange in England or whatever. She meets Jude Law, and her walls come tumbling down. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like she suddenly accesses the frozen emotion that was all bottled up and it melts. That's what women want when they say, I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Okay? It's a front and you guys are falling for it. I talked about this in my video about the 3 masks. Listen to this song, When the Walls it's called Walls by Kings of Leon, okay? It's a good example of this. When the walls come down, when the walls come down. It's like when the walls of your heart come tumbling down. This is what all women who are saying, "I'm strong, independent women who don't need no man," are deeply craving, but they want you to see it's like they want you to read between the lines, basically. So, a lot of guys are just falling for it. So, another thing is when a woman is acting really masculine, she wants a super masculine guy, okay? It's like if a woman is masculine, she oftentimes needs a man who is more masculine than her. So it's kind of like a challenge to a masculine guy. Like, I'm strong and independent. I don't need no man. Can you handle me? Are you strong enough to be my man? Another song you guys should listen to, although it's kind of confusing. Are you strong enough to be my man, right? And then a really masculine guy is going to be like, yeah, you don't threaten me. You don't phase me. Of course I can handle you. And I think it's cute that you think you're all strong and masculine because compared to me, you're like a feminine flower. Okay, so this is what women are thinking and this is what women are wanting. Do you guys get it? Do you get it? So they want a guy who isn't going to just, it's like, for example, when rhinos mate, okay? A female rhino looks basically like a male rhino, okay? She's got armor, she's strong, and you know how rhinos mate? The females challenge the man, and then if the man backs down, the female rhino doesn't mate with him because she's like, "This guy's like a beta cuck," basically. So when women are saying, "I'm strong and independent, I don't need no man," and you're saying, "Oh, wow, I guess you really are too masculine for me," she's not gonna mate with you, bro. But if you're saying, "I'm strong and independent," she's saying, "I'm strong and independent, I don't need a man," then you're like the male rhino who's just like, "Oh, really? Because I'm a man, and I'm bigger than you, and I'm stronger than you, and I'm not threatened by you. In fact, I just think it's absolutely adorable because deep down inside, I know that you're needing somebody to heal, protect, provide, and heal the wounds that made you build up this strong wall." That's what they want. You get it? So let's move on. All right, let's see if anyone got that. So all right. So Tata Rose, are you a woman, Tata Rose? Because I think what I'm interpreting your emoji to mean is that a clapping emoji? If it is, then I feel like you're agreeing with me. Please feel free to comment and elaborate because I think I broke it down for you guys. That is the female gaze. That is the female mindset. So I hope none of you on this live will be fooled anymore by all of this bluster, so to speak, this challenge, and you won't back down like the rhino. You'll just accept the challenge because, as my boyfriend always says, not scared of a little challenge, and he's masculine enough for like the both of us. I don't think he says that last one, but that's basically the idea. Yeah. So anyway, alrighty, moving on, guys. So Jeremy Carpenter says, "Face it, men, it is easier for women than men. Sexually and romantically, I would agree with you, Jeremy. And you guys do need to face it. And the sooner you face it, the better." Um, Kessel Soul says, "How do you suggest we navigate through how so many women are pessimistic about men and how there's no good men? I've struggled with that because some start automatically assuming the guy's like that." You know what? I get it because even I've started feeling like that lately. But then it's like weird because like whenever I meet a guy in person, I'm like, oh, I really like that guy. That guy was really cool. Like, what was I thinking? So, men do the same thing. They're like, ah, women suck and all red pills. So just ignore that. When they meet you in person, they're gonna be like extra impressed with you because they're gonna be like, this guy's nothing like the horrible impression I had of men in my head. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen a lot of these things on TikTok where women are it's kinda like a joke to them. They're kinda like, "I hate all men, but I love my boyfriend." Do you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of something they're gonna be saying, "I hate all men, men." But again, it's kinda like a little bit of a bluster. Deep down, they really like men. They're looking for a man. Well, they're definitely annoyed with a lot of things about men, or angry, perhaps, in many cases. They like the good qualities about men, and they will like men when they meet the guy in person and he starts acting, in an appealing way to them. So just don't let that get you down. I mean, it's really hard not to because, like, for example, when a lot of people on my channel comment how they hate women, it's so hard not to take that personally. I'm like screaming inside, wanting to be like, not all women, or not even not all women, but just like, you're so wrong about women. But it's the same with women. It's just so easy to overgeneralize and be like, men suck when really it's like some one rude commenter who really sucks. You know what I'm saying? Or one ex-boyfriend who really sucks. Classic thinking error, you know? So anyway, um so then OK Cover says in this book about the book I was telling him to read and he's reading, I want to understand why the protagonist enjoys getting whipped even by the gay subordinates. So I kinda, like, don't even remember that part, like, I'm just vaguely remembering it, but I imagine it's kind of, like, even more humiliation gang because it's, like, she's kinda, like, so low that even his, like, cucks that are beneath him, which is kinda, like, adding to his power in her mind. It's like, this guy's so powerful, he's even got these, like, subordinates, and she's, like, so low that, you know, she's not even worthy of being, like, whipped by the main guy, like, for the you know, most frequently, or you know what I'm saying? So it's kinda like a humiliation thing, it's just like, "Damn, I'm only worth being whipped by, like, the staff, and they don't even, like, wanna be doing it." Like, that's how much of a masochist she is, basically. So, yeah, that's what I'm guessing, but I have to reread that book and, like, reread that part, but I'm, like, scared to reread it again because it's so intense, is it not? So, Jeremy Carpenter says, "Better bachelors, good to learn from men." Is that a YouTube channel? Um, so then 92 is recommending this book. It's a good book explaining how you went from being afraid to talking to women to controlling a group of women, also making money for men. He would explain how he felt guilty. That seems like a book I'd like to read. I'm gonna check that out. Okay, yeah, I'll remember that. Thanks for the rec. Um, Kessel Soul says, I feel like this deep sexuality of women mostly depends on if the man is maturing themselves or not. What women want, I feel, directly correlates with a male maturity and really becoming a man. Pretty much agree with you. Obviously, like, depends on your definition of, like, really becoming a man, but, like, pretty much, I'd say you're definitely onto something there. And Antonio says, "Hi, Victoria. Are women actually deathly afraid of bugs, or are they pretending so they can be the damsel in distress?" Antonio, it's a great question. Like, it's a really great question. I'll be honest. It's a little of both. This is just my opinion, okay? That's all. This is my opinion. I believe this whole damsel in distress thing, it's so deeply ingrained in, like, female culture, it's almost hard to tell the difference, okay? Because, yes, women know that Acting girly, acting hyper feminine, acting scared, acting weak, acting, like, afraid is gonna attract men because it's gonna make them hyper feminine, and it's also, like, a thing with other girls too, because it's like the more hyper feminine you are, even in the girl hierarchy, it kinda puts you at the top of the girl hierarchy as well. So, like, because it's just such a powerful influence on women, it's like sometimes I feel like they don't even really know if they're afraid of bugs or not, but they do know that they gotta act afraid of bugs. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's so useful, it's so helpful, and this is, like, on a deeply subconscious level, I believe. So, you know, if they were on, like, an island with just women and no men, would women act deathly afraid of bugs? I doubt it. I bet they'd be more like the people on Survivor or, like, those survival shows in the wilderness where the women are, like, tough as nails. You know what I'm saying? But hyperfemininity, acting weak, acting helpless, it's huge. Okay, like, when I was younger, I used to love to read Archie comics. Did you guys ever read those? And, like, Veronica Lodge. In every single Archie comic, she's using this tactic of being hyper feminine, of being weak, to steal Archie out under the nose of Betty Cooper, who's, like, really smart, really nice, really, like, deserving of Archie, and yet Veronica's always getting the guy because she acts hyper feminine. She would act, like, scared of a bug so that Archie's like, "Oh, Veronica, I'll save you. Don't worry. Bugs are no big deal." And even if Archie doesn't say that, it's just he sees her in that light. He sees her as feminine. And women are always, like, trying to act more feminine than they are, in my opinion. They're trying to, like, act weak and helpless. Okay, I've said too much. I've said way too much. Zip it. Zip it. Any other women on here? What do you guys think? Kingmaker says, "Females want a man who is emotionally available." Not necessarily, Kingmaker. I don't 100% agree. Some part of them does, and some part of them not highest on their list of priorities, if you will. Kessel Soul says, "Poor girls. Honestly, they want the masculine idea, but we men struggle deeply." Well said, Kessel Soul. Very well said. So, Tata Rose, she is a woman, and she said I was so right about the whole strong, independent woman thing. I didn't know what she's going to think about or what you're going to think about this whole, if you're still here, scared of bugs thing. Weigh in. I'm scared. Did I just put women down way too much? That was all subconscious because whenever I say something like this, guys always think, "Oh, you're saying women are manipulative." No, I'm not. I'm not. This is subconscious and it affects us all. What do you think, Tata Rose? Um, all right, 90s 2 Dude says, "Back to your rhino analogy. I recently realized that I made a mistake and backed down. She went no contact. I make myself accountable for this and decided to grow up. Do I still have a chance?" Um, I'm guessing you do still have a chance. I can't say for sure, but personally, I could see many ways there could be a chance, and some ways there could not be a chance. Like she's just like, "Oh my god, I need to escape this guy." So it could be one of I just I don't know, but I'm not saying it's impossible. There's a chance. So Travis Moore says, "Ah, I knew it." So is that about the bug thing? Charles Gray says, "No, keep it going. This is good." Totoro says, "I think it's kind of women's nature." So is that about the bug thing? Like, so you think like they actually are afraid of bugs, or what's your opinion? Um, Guy says, I watched your video about having the relationship matrix as part of my flirting with women instead of just pushing in a sexual way, and I've seen a lot of results. Guy, that's fucking incredible. I'm so glad, Guy, because that video, I feel it was misunderstood a lot because guys were saying, "Oh, so you're saying just say that I'm like deeply interested in a relationship?" And I'm saying, "I'm not saying that, but understand the concept of the casual matrix and the relationship matrix and throw in a flavor of both. Use them to your advantage." The casual matrix. Okay, let me just go through this quickly. Casual matrix is a word cluster. It's words and phrases like casual, spontaneous, hook up, catch a catch a bite, grab a drink, not looking for anything serious, fun, adventurous, um, keeping it casual, here for a good time, not a long time. Basically, all things that relate to male sexuality, that relate to a guy who doesn't want to get locked down into a relationship, who wants to have sex and move on as quickly as possible. And these are all the words on online dating apps that guys express, and not just online dating apps, but also dating shows, and also guys in general use to express this concept. However, women, on the other hand, have what they're going to be what I call the relationship matrix, which is things like, I'm looking for a deep connection, I'm looking for something long term, future oriented, you know, relationship, romance, family, all these kinds of things. That's a relationship matrix. And that's what women want. Okay. So you got to kind of, if you're too casual, you can really go wrong because women don't want to hear just the casual matrix. Sometimes a little of it can be good, but you wanna understand both and be able to draw from both, in my opinion. So Guy, what have you been doing differently instead of just pushing in a sexual way? Let me know. Like, incorporating the relationship matrix. Um, Travis Moore said, "I had an experience with a mouse where the girl was uber terrified of mouse, and I made her feel safe by setting traps and taking care of it. She loved it." Well, I'm very sorry to hear that because I'm only for humane mouse traps as a vegan. Forever vegan, guys. But, setting that aside, that's another thing with, like, the bugs. They wanna give a guy an opportunity to step up and be a man, basically. To step up, make them feel safe, make them feel taken care of. Like, for example, watching a horror movie with a guy. That's another opportunity girls give guys to step up, comfort them, make them feel safe, make them feel strong, and have the guy be a man. So that the girl can be attracted to him and the man can feel extra attracted to her. So I see what you mean, Travis. Oh God, guys, my voice is getting like all hoarse. So I should probably go soon. But this was wild. This was a wild one, guys. I think I spilled a lot of tea. Did I use that correctly? I'm not sure. So, yeah. Any final words? Any final words? Let's just see if I missed any real quick. So Scram Finger says, just started talking to a girl. She seems interested. Virginal behavior. Excited to talk to me. Should I keep messaging first or take a step back for a few days and see how she responds? I mean, I'll just ask her on the date. Like, get on a date and then do this hot and cold stuff if you need to. But I don't know. You really want to meet in person. So I wouldn't like put that off for too long. Because a lot of times on online dating apps, a girl has so many other guys, so many other matches that she could just be like distracted basically. She could start talking to another guy or, just so many new people come up that even if she kind of thought you were cool, she might just kind of forget about you. So I would try to meet up as soon as possible. Like don't worry about this whole hot and cold thing until you have met. So, all right, guys. So, let's see. Okay, cover says, thanks for your answer. I don't know how to make my follow-up comment without being censored. You guys can email me, my nonleatherlife@gmail.com. Sorry about the censoring. Yeah, sometimes I guess YouTube like censors comments. Um, if you guys want like a private session, I do them for $60 an hour usually. I'm kind of might not be able to do them for a while, but just email me and we could possibly work it out. So, Jeremy Carpenter says, good show. Thanks. Charles Gray says, drink some tea. Paul Williams says, go vegan. Go fucking vegan, Paul Williams. Thank you so much. Jeremy Carpenter says, honey and tea will help that. Unfortunately, it's not vegan. But thanks, Jeremy. And so Dreamweaver says, let's see. Okay, Travis Morris says, awesome chat. Thanks, Travis. Charles Gray says, thank you so much for the show, and thank you for telling me about strong, independent stuff. To Charles Gray, did it make sense to you? Did I crush this belief in your mind once and for all, or are you still pondering this? What are your final thoughts? Um, Sam L. Williams says, if a girl rejects a guy but asks him to please not take it personally, could she change her mind about him one day? Sam L. Williams, I really wouldn't focus on like this one girl. I would just focus on your behaviors, asking out more girls, trying to keep bringing in leads. It's very bad when you put all your eggs in one basket, when you get fixated on one girl as if that's your only option. I know it's not easy to attract even one girl for many people. However, you worst thing you can do is just fixate on somebody who's always rejected you. Yes, there's always a chance. Well, not always, but in most cases, there's a chance, but it's going to take a lot of skill and a lot of alpha behaviors and a lot of game to reverse the situation. It would be better to just keep practicing your social skills, keep practicing your dating skills, keep meeting people, keep asking people out. And honestly, that's going to add to your chances with this girl, you rejected if she's in or she who rejected you, if she's in your social circle because she's going to see, damn, this guy gets out a lot. Damn, he goes on lots of dates. Lots of girls like him. Maybe I misjudged him. So Paul Williams says, yes, thanks for your perspective. Thanks, Paul. Kessel Soul says, thanks, Victoria. When I find someone that I want as my significant other, I'll tell you my experiences to see your advice, and maybe I'll bring her here to talk with you too, and we can share our thoughts together. That'd be awesome, Kessel Soul. However, I do have some advice for you, Kessel Soul, because I think you have a really great mentality. I think you could do really well with women, but here you're saying, when I find someone that I want as my significant other. Well, it's up to you, Kessel Soul, but you don't need to wait until you find someone who's, like, the one, so to speak. Keep dating, even casually, because it's good practice, and, I think you'll enjoy it. So, Scramfinger says, "Thanks for stream. Found you through Pearly Things commenting on one of your videos." I see. Was it me commenting on one of Pearly Things' videos, or was it her commenting on one of my videos? Oh, I think it was that one where she, like, commented. Yeah, yeah, I that was intense. Like, I read through the comments and, there were so many comments just like, "This girl's, like, the stupidest person I've ever seen. God, this is the most inane nonsense," and everything. So then I kinda clapped back on some of the comments, but what if I was kind of annoying? She didn't credit me at all for that video. Like, what the hell? Anyway, thanks, Scream Fingers. So, JB Wells says, "What's your email?" My nonleatherlife at gmail.com. Guy says, "I started asking her out in a way like this. Let's get some ice cream, but it's cold outside, so maybe get something to warm us up." Bingo! Bingo, guy. 100%. I'm so proud of you. It has a relationship vibe without actually being so. Yes, yes, yes. Great job. You've got the female gaze date idea, but not too much. It's like I was trying to tell you guys in one of the other lives, it's like suggest these female gaze date ideas. Like, let's go to a picnic. Let's watch, the Christmas lights, these vaguely rom-com type ideas. You know what I'm saying? Very good. Let's get some ice cream, but it's cool outside, so maybe get something to warm us up. This is appealing to the female gaze. Oh, hot chocolate. That sounds fun. We'll be cozy inside with a warm cup of steaming hot chocolate with marshmallows. It will be so cute. And we can get ice cream. How idyllic. Do you know what I'm saying? Very good. Um, Charles Gray says, "Yeah, I'm good now. I completely understand now. Thank you." Woohoo! Great, Charles. Giving you the thumbs up. Nani2 says, "Move on, bro. Bro, I agree. Move on. Move on. Move like a pimple. Oh, God. I'm not signing off on that one, but move on, bro. I am." Jeremy Compter says, "Good night, Victoria." Good night, Jeremy. Travis Mora, "Have fun being a guy. Attract for fun. See where it goes with others." I like that advice. Interesting. So, Sam L. Williams says, that happened with a girl I asked out, but she said she didn't want anything romantic or casual, so basically nothing, not for me specifically. All right. So Capsule Soul says, okay, thanks. I'll try to keep dating instead of finding a one. If anything, I'd love to bring girls out just to have fun, even if it's nothing romantic." Very good, Capsule Soul, because I think you could have a lot of success with your attitudes. Naughty2 says, "When's the next live?" No idea, Naughty2. No idea. I'm wild and crazy like that. Charles Gray, do you have IG? I do, but it's secret. And I don't really accept anybody. So, for all intents and purposes, no, I don't. All right, guys. Thank you very much. And thank you all for commenting. Thank you guys all for participating. Thank you for your fantastic, thought provoking questions. Thank you for humoring me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And sorry if I offended anyone. And thank you so much to JB Weld who tipped me. That really means a lot, JB. I really appreciate you. And I will see you guys later. All right. Bye, guys.